Before we get started, we just want to let you know about a few ways you can support our grassroots indie show. You can follow us on social media at No Bad Reviews Pod. We'd love it if you could go to your favorite podcasting app and rate us and review us. Also, please tell a friend about our podcast. And last, you can financially support us on patreon.com/nobadreviews, buymeacoffee.com/nobadreviewspod, and you can buy merch at our website, nobadreviewspodcast.com. Thank you, and enjoy this episode. Hello, and welcome to No Bad Reviews, a coffee podcast. This is a podcast where three friends, coworkers, and coffee industry professionals get together every other week and tell you something about coffee. I'm Jenny, and I run the operations at a coffee company.
Hey, this is Marcus.
You talking to me?
Talking to you. Did I just... Sorry. Can we do that again? I feel like I just,
No.
I just fucking totally...
I'm not doing it again.
You're going to do that, weren't you?
No. I thought that was great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready? I'm Stephanie. Hi. I'm the employee of the month at Modest Coffee. Did anyone else mention the coffee company?
No, I was trying to be mysterious today.
We're huge right now. We're going to be huge in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Available in Brooklyn.
Your
soon.
phone just went off, Marcus.
In case anyone in Brooklyn can't get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We're in the process of getting into our East Coast expansion.
Woohoo!
We've expanded in the Midwest, and now we are expanding to the East Coast. We're coming for you by way of Ohio and Brooklyn.
Ohio and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Nothing in between.
Straight from the heart, right in. Right in.
So if you are dear listener, have a local grocery store that you love, actually send us in. Tell us where you want us to be, because we'll go there. We're working on it. So Steph went to Brooklyn, and we went to Brooklyn. You didn't actually go to Brooklyn, right? You stayed in Manhattan.
And Queens.
In Queens.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be in one store in Queens, too.
Yeah, that's true. We're already there. What's the name of that store we're in?
Met Fresh.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you live in New York, go to Met Fresh.
Yeah, what's
Find
up?
us. And if you don't find us, ask the store manager why they don't have us, and then they'll carry us, because we started out with just a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brooklyn is a real coffee hub. I kind of, I really wanted like a roaster in the neighborhood that we stayed in. And it was like, no, nobody's roasting anywhere but Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Really?
I don't know why.
Shit.
Brooklyn's super cool with the coffee roasters.
Yeah. Maybe it's a little more industrial.
That's kind of like the West Loop in Chicago, too. There's everybody in Chicago roasts in the same neighborhood, for the most part.
It's true. The little industrial parts of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't have coffee roasting just anywhere. I mean, you could, but then you'd have to invest in a lot more equipment and stuff like that.
That's true.
They don't really prefer that manufacturing in residential neighborhoods. And I don't actually know what Manhattan or Queens are like versus Brooklyn.
I don't understand how anyone gets anything delivered in Manhattan. I'm trying to imagine unloading a few pallets of green coffee.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know how, oh, God, it's so crazy there. The Amazon delivery guys are all on bikes or on carts. They, unload the truck for, the whole block. And, a bunch of people get out of the truck with their little carts, and they're, running up and down the block doing all the deliveries.
That's so funny.
But every time I saw a bike, they use the same big Rubbermaid type containers that we use for coffee, the big ones.
Yeah.
And so every time I saw a guy on a bike loaded up with a bunch of those bins, I just couldn't help but picture Jenny. If we were in New York, this is how you'd have to deliver all your coffee. On a bike with a giant trailer loaded with bins. Imagine the fucking calf muscles you'd have.
You know what? One, I would have an electric bike. Two, I would just ship UPS. Why are we talking about New York? Because Steph just went to New York and just brought a coffee.
We had a super fun family vacation. And obviously, I was in search of a coffee to bring back and a coffee-flavored chocolate to bring back, too. So stay tuned for the Love It or Leave It bonus episode for that one. I'm excited about that, too. I think let's just, jump into the company. Let's just jump into the coffee company. The owners are from Malaysia. So I'm going to talk about Malaysia a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Because I think there are reasons why they're here. So I just feel so fortunate that we got to take this trip. It was very cool. It was our first big family vacation to someplace besides Wisconsin or whatever. So it was very cool. I hadn't been to New York in a couple of decades. And, the old neighborhoods that I liked are different now. Mm-hmm. Fancy. But we stayed in the East Village, which is, I don't want to say it's not gentrified because we went for a happy hour bar crawl to all the oyster bars. So it's obviously somewhat gentrified.
Okay.
But it's not it's still a little I don't know, grungy or whatever. It's not all fancy. It's not fancy.
A little rough around the edges still.
Yeah. So you can still find some squatters and some anarchists and some punks and all that kind of stuff. It's a really great neighborhood. So I was given a list of coffee places to check out by that guy. What's his name?
Kevin?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Okay.
But none of them, I never ended up anywhere near any of them.
Oh, okay.
And I was not taking a special trip to Brooklyn to go to a coffee shop. So that's another trip. I'd love to do a trip.
Is it hard to get to Brooklyn, though? Isn't it 5 minutes away? Right across a body of water?
It is hard.
A small body of water, like a river.
It is hard to convince the group to travel to Brooklyn so that you can get a cappuccino, basically.
I
is
see.
it?
Wasn't just I would love to do a trip to New York where we just travel around and try coffee, but that was not, you have to keep everyone's interest in mind.
I will say, for example, when we went to New Orleans, our goal every day was to try a different beignet place.
Oh, awesome.
So we just kind of researched and found good beignet places in different parts of the city. And we went out to the Garden District and we went over here, we went over there.
Okay, but you see why kids would be more interested in finding beignets
I guess.
than they might be in finding coffee beans.
Yeah, I guess our kids would be interested in the coffee adventure. But I guess your kids are not the same.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have to travel very far for good coffee. So
yeah, I mean, I did walk right past that one place that we did an episode on, I want to say Colombo.
La
Colombe. That's what it is. Yeah.
But they're a chain. They got locations everywhere.
Everywhere. That's why we walked by one.
They were a Pennsylvania-based company originally, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we ended up loving the East Village so much that I was determined to find a coffee in the East Village roasted by the company that was there.
Yeah.
So technically this was roasted in Queens because they have a few different locations and their roastery is in Queens. But their original location is in the East Village. I bought this coffee in the East Village.
Okay.
It's Coffee Project New York. And I chose this particular coffee because it seemed like something Marcus would like.
Yeah, I think I've heard of them, actually.
It's a dynamic cherry 39 reserved from Panama. I tried to look up the farm.
Amazing.
It's called Star Farm
Okay.
in Spanish. Do you know how many farms have that same name?
Yeah.
What's star in Spanish?
Estrella.
Estrella?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Finca Estrella or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Finca. I couldn't remember that. Yes. This is an anaerobic 98-hour process.
Oh, amazing.
So I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sounds
that's
great.
why I chose this one.
So for those of you that don't know about anaerobic process, that's where they harvest the beans and then they ferment them for 96 hours. And then they break them out, usually through mechanical separation.
Break it out of the cherry.
Yeah, out of the fruit.
Right.
And coffee is a really hard, kind of dense fruit too. So it's got to be extracted out. So
You look a little bit excited. I'm excited to try this coffee.
Pretty
too.
excited.
Before we get started on the coffee, can you talk about your outfit today? I'd love to know more about your mermaid pants and what your shirt means, RBNY.
So my mermaid pants came from the Buffalo Exchange,
Can
which
I-
my teenager discovered while we were in New York.
I just need to say that you're wearing these pants. They have mermaid scallops, but they're also shiny leggings, bell bottoms. Very Cher-esque.
Thank you.
I know.
Are they
That's
comfortable?
you.
They're extremely comfortable.
They make her
That makes
butt,
it a W.
and they make her butt look really cute.
Aw, thanks, Jenny. Thanks
Not
for
trying to
noticing.
objectify you, but your butt looks nice as a mermaid.
Aw, thank you.
Nice mermaid butt.
We were supposed to go to the mermaid parade in Coney Island while we were there.
Would have been perfect.
And I bought the pants. I was like, should I buy a pair of, like, where am I going to wear these? But I had the perfect place to wear them.
Yes.
And
Match.
then we didn't go to the mermaid parade because Jason looked it up and was like, this review says it's as crowded as Times Square on New Year's. Are we sure this is something we want to
It's
do?
amazing.
All right.
We didn't.
Avoid the crowds. That's good.
Yes, but I am wearing the pants. I saw some pictures. It was a pretty racy parade. It's like
I'm
an
sure.
art parade. It was like,
Oh.
not safe for work parade pictures. I was like, man, this would have been really cool.
You should have gone. Yeah. Yeah.
The pictures made me sad.
What about your shirt?
And so this I bought in Rockaway Beach. RBNY, Rockaway Beach, New
Okay.
York. And it is in the CBGB's font. It's the whole punk rock Ramones. Apparently Rockaway has a tight connection to the punk rock scene.
Through
Back in the
CBGBs?
day,
Was
in
that
the
in Rockaway
70s.
Beach?
No, that's actually on the Lower East Side. So,
Oh, okay.
or was.
Yeah.
That still existed the last time I was in New York.
Yeah.
It does not now.
Ooh.
It's like a fancy men's clothing store now.
Wow.
Yeah. Sad.
That is sad.
I mean, yes, it's sad, but on the other hand, there's people like who can support it financially, right?
Yeah.
You think back to like the 1900s, like everything was probably like very grungy and dirty.
I
Now,
disagree.
like things get nicer, maybe. 'Cause
New York's losing its edge.
I'm just trying to think
agree
of
with that.
I'm trying to put a positive spin on it.
I'm sad about it losing its edge.
Yeah.
Although I'm glad that it's not the total shithole that it was 50
Do you know
years
where the
ago.
cutting edge is? Right here, Aurora, Illinois. It's the epicenter of everything
We're so lucky to
in
be
corn
here.
and corn-related products.
We still have to try some
We
corn.
got a
coffee.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot in Aurora, as I've learned just yesterday.
While we're talking about Rockaway Beach briefly, which is the other place we stayed in New York, there was a place called the Rockaway Roastery, and I was really excited to get, because Rockaway is like pretty small and kind of strange, but in a good way. And I was surprised that there was a roastery right in the middle of the little downtown, but then it turned out that they were selling Stumptown coffee.
Wow.
How do you get away with that?
Well, you go to the East Coast and you want to get West Coast coffee. That's,
They do have a Stumptown roastery in Brooklyn. That coffee
Oh.
was roasted in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's a local company then.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just a little local company owned by Jeb Holdings. Just a little local roastery owned by a global conglomerate
Multi-billion-
of ex-Nazis.
Yeah, former.
Fine.
Reformed.
Reformed Nazis. That
Reformed
sounds
Nazis.
much better.
Yeah. That Stumptown
A lot of people lose their
Coffee
way.
Roastery has a direct lineage straight to...
Let's not, because I'd love to get bought out by
The
them one day.
concentration
That would be great. Let's be a little more nice. Do I have to be the only,
No bad reviews.
reviews in the room? Please?
No bad reviews.
Please. Thank you.
No bad reviews of Jeb Holding. We'll take your money.
Come on.
I would not.
Okay. Well, no bad reviews.
Let's bring it back to Coffee Project New York.
Okay, yay.
Yay. On the bottom of the bag, it says roasted on June 5th.
Yes.
Best after 2 weeks.
Oh.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that on a bag before?
All right. Yeah. So I have, and I've had, there's a lot of debate amongst the coffee brewing intellectuals, if you want to call them that, right? Because everybody has an opinion on extraction, right? And so the idea behind giving it 2 weeks, some people say 10 days, some people say 8 days, some people say 3 days, right? The idea is to give it a chance to off-gas any of the carbon dioxide left in the beans so that the water, when it starts to extract, the solids, the TDS, or the total dissolvable solids from the beans, there's no gas to interfere with that process.
Okay.
That's the idea
Okay.
behind it.
So we're about a month out as of this recording. So is it going to be acceptable?
Well, I'm going to give you my hot take on this is that I love coffee at every stage. Like right out of the roaster, like a day after. I love how it develops. So yes, this is great.
Okay. We're good.
We're good.
Okay.
I mean, I think like it's a matter of preference. You know, it's like coffee's not going to be bad the day of roasting or whatever.
Yeah.
It
I mean, I've
gets
noticed that like
better. Like there is that flavor development, but you know what? It's like don't tell people how to drink their coffee. I guess that's like my. I'm not going to tell you how to drink your coffee. Drink it
I've
however you
noticed
want.
on my brewer, if I brew a gallon of it, right, if it's like right after it's been roasted, it'll like foam and make a huge mess, right? And so there's some like benefit to letting it off gas completely.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But you know, I like the way coffee tastes. So just try it. Break some rules.
All right, let's really dive in. Coffee Project New York started in 2015 with this little coffee shop in the East Village, 400 square feet.
Wow.
Tiny, tiny, tiny.
Probably got hot as fuck in there.
They weren't roasting there. They started out as just a coffee shop, but still hot as fuck. You're right. So it's a lesbian couple that owns the coffee shop, and they are from Malaysia. They're pretty young. I couldn't find dates. They look young. But
Were they
based
there?
on
Did you
No.
see them? Okay.
No.
Okay.
They hang out in the Long Island location mostly because that is where they have a lot of shit going on.
Okay.
But they look like they're maybe in their 30s or 40s. They're not older than 40s.
When was it founded?
2015.
Okay. Wow, that's very recent. Okay.
Yeah, so the owners are, oh gosh, I wanted to look up how to pronounce everything. Ngai and Kaleena Teoh. Gosh, sorry if I totally mispronounced those. She started out in IT, and Kaleena started out, she was like a speech pathologist working for a not-for-profit. And they both were just like really burnt out and decided they wanted to like work together and do something fun. And like, wouldn't it be fun to open a coffee shop? Like one of those ideas.
Because that is the solution to burnout is to work 100 hours a week.
Yes.
And make no money.
It's exactly what ended up happening.
I don't.
Yes.
So many people need to be a little more real about entrepreneurship. Like, no, fucking keep your good job. You're gonna get burned out way faster, man.
No, yeah. Like some people call it, I'm all for quiet quitting. Like, just slow down a little bit. Just slow down a little
You
bit.
fucking millennial.
Fuck.
Like, if you want an opportunity to make as much money as you want, get into sales. This is not it.
You don't have to be the best. You just have to be better than the worst. Like, not much better.
I'm glad they didn't
Shoot for
follow
the
your
middle.
advice because they're doing okay. They're doing okay. So they actually, they did not come to the U.S. together. Sam and Kaleena, they did meet in Malaysia when they were, I think, teenagers.
Wow.
And they were with this UNICEF program where they were like mentoring younger kids from like bad neighborhoods or bad school districts or whatever.
In Malaysia.
In Malaysia.
Oh, shit.
And so they describe it as sort of like a big brother, big sister type program. And they were both volunteering for that. And I guess we're just kind of acquaintances when they knew each other in Malaysia. And then they both ended up moving to New York City separately in their 20s.
Please tell me they bumped into each other on the street and like found each other again.
It was one of those things that they sort of like reconnected. They were not like still in touch.
Okay.
Maybe it was like, well, I saw on Facebook that you moved to New York. We should get coffee. I don't know what it was. I don't know how they started hanging out.
Okay.
But then they ended up just being friends. And then they were roommates. And then they how long does it take you guys to finally hook up? But now they're married.
About 14 days.
Who? Me and Marcus?
No, I mean these two. Like
those
your
two.
roommates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
One thing leads to the next pretty quickly.
Right. When you're living together. Right.
So, I don't know. I looked up Malaysia because I can't avoid a rabbit hole And I was curious about coffee culture in Malaysia. And Malaysia's pretty much surrounded by Indonesia. Mm-hmm. I mean, there should be coffee there.
Sure.
And there is a lot of coffee there, but none of it is Arabica.
Yeah, I was just about to ask
Wow.
if it was Robusta.
Very little of it is Robusta, like 5 to 10%. 90 to 95% of it is Liberica.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't
That's
that
the third one?
Weren't we talking about that when we did the dollar store episode?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the love it or leave it for the dollar store coffee?
Although go ahead.
There's a fourth kind.
There's a
There's
fourth
a
kind.
fourth
There's a
variety that's
fourth?
called Excelsior or something like
Okay.
that.
Maybe that's the one I
So
was thinking of.
one of them you said is like more like a tree. I don't think that's the Liberica.
Oh, okay.
I think the Liberica is very close to the Robusta in.
I've heard it's like sweeter.
Okay, so here's.
Teach us something today, Steph, because I am becoming fascinated.
And they
right
have
now.
like a tail on them, the bean.
The bean has a tail? I feel like, you know what, I'm just going to have to Google this.
Here is how the flavor of the beans has been described: unusual flavor, unique, controversial, polarizing, woody, burnt garbage. Those are the words I read. So not everyone loves this coffee. Safe to say.
That sounds like the dollar store coffee that we had.
Potentially, but I heard somebody say it was slightly sweet, so that was not described as on your list. So
Okay, so can you explain this? In Malaysia, these coffee beans are roasted with butter and sugar. Oh. Have you ever heard of this?
I have,
How, like in the roaster in a pan? What?
yeah, and then it becomes this like solid mass of like coffee and butter and sugar, and then they break it up.
Really?
Yeah, and then they pour water and it like melts, and it's a really cheap way of doing processing and roasting
How is
coffee.
How is that cheaper than just putting it into a drum roaster? You're adding like sugar and butter, which are both expensive. I'm imagining a whirly pop.
Yeah,
style.
but you don't need. You just add water, and you have like a drink. Like you don't need any equipment afterwards to like have a tasty beverage. It's like because it's salty and it's sweet. I guess I don't know. I don't know the whole science behind it. My understanding is that it's a really cheap way to consume coffee.
So are they cooking? So wait, after it's been roasted, you're saying they add the sugar and the butter. They're not roasting
No,
it
together, and it becomes this like brittle.
So they take the
really
green.
black. Yeah.
They take the green.
No. Oh, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought it was roasted first, and then, but they roast it all together. Maybe they roast it all together.
Roasted with butter and sugar
Green.
is what
Okay.
I read.
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine it's probably something like a whirly pop. So you can be kind of agitating it, but it has a large opening to come out.
And
I
maybe
can't
at the
imagine
end-
that going
maybe
in
at
a
the end of
drum
the roast.
roaster
At
because
the end of a roast. Oh no, yeah, it's definitely like a.
it can't be a drum.
It's a big
roaster.
whirly thing, like
Yeah.
Almost like a
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy. That's what it looks like.
Because you got to be able to clean it. That's going to be sticky
Right,
and messy.
right.
You can't
That's
really.
what I couldn't figure out.
Oh no! Wait, the video I saw was a pan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all cooked in a pan together over a fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it seems like Malaysian coffee is served similarly to like a Robusta Vietnamese coffee with just like a shit ton of sweetened condensed milk because it's very dark and bitter.
It's candied coffee. That's what it is.
Basically, yes. And it sounds interesting. No bad reviews. I would try it.
Did you bring us some true Malaysian coffee?
I didn't, and they don't really export it. There's not really enough of Liberica coffee to export. I don't know
Right.
if I mentioned this. The reason they're not growing the Arabica is just the
Elevation.
elevation. Like height?
I know. I see Steph like.
Taller. So yeah, I guess it's not like an export business at all.
Yeah.
But the Philippines is very close to Malaysia, and what I read was like go to a Philippine grocery store, like find the Filipino expat neighborhood near you and go to their grocery store and get some. So another episode. Let's definitely see if we can get our hands on some of this.
Okay.
I'm just going to Google Filipino grocery store.
Be ready. So yeah, that's what coffee is like in Malaysia. And apparently, I think it was Some who was saying she started drinking coffee when she was 5 years old. It's just like I mean, of course you do, because it's full of sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah.
Of course that tastes good to a little
Right.
kid, and little kids are drinking it.
It's
right?
like a local product. It's like wine in Italy, right? You just grow up drinking
Yeah.
wine and water or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's-
Yeah.
I'll interject for one moment. There's a Filipino grocery store like 5 minutes from here.
Oh,
Great.
shit.
Let's go.
Stay
Well,
tuned.
I guess 15 minutes in traffic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
We'll have
go.
to do this, yeah. So the other thing I was curious about in Malaysia was gay rights. Because these are two lesbian women who both independently made the decision to come here. And I wondered if that was related to the situation in Malaysia. And I would suspect that it was, in fact,
Oh.
related. It is a shit show over there if you're LGBTQ.
They were both from Malaysia. Wow. Okay.
I hope that they don't regret that decision here in the near future.
I don't think we're moving to Sharia law, so we'll be fine.
Are you sure?
Oh, okay. It's like
It's-
Islamic predominantly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is the official state religion is
Oh.
Islam.
Okay. So,
I believe that there's some people in this country who believe some Sharia style law would be perfectly fine.
but
But
they,
the
Mostly,
Jesus kind,
mostly
yeah.
in the state of Florida, but
Oh, Tennessee.
Tennessee too.
I don't know.
Should we just throw out states? We could probably hit at least 26.
I don't know if that's true. Because, there's like a lot of people in the middle.
It's good Christian
You know?
values, though. Like, we just
me
got to
tell
do
you.
what the Bible tells us to.
Here's the difference between like fucked up places in the US and Malaysia. It's just like what the state has to say about it. Like nobody's going to prison for being gay here, even
Yeah.
in Tennessee.
There's no separation between church and state over
right.
there, right?
There is certainly not. There is
Yeah.
especially not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the
So I
Sharia
guess I'm
law
wondering-
is the law.
But what about, like, say, like the drag show laws and things like that? Can you go to jail, or is it just fines?
I just read an article that was being contested right now.
I mean, it's
through
got
the Supreme
to
Court.
be, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
think
that may take
the
a
Florida
while,
Supreme
but-
Court like struck it down. I just read some progress. Something happened, or it was like, not so fast.
I mean, you just can't make a law saying what people are allowed to wear in the U.S. Like, what the fuck? I mean,
Yeah.
that's like some basic First Amendment shit,
I
right?
think it's
Well, this
working
is what
its
we
way
hope,
through
right?
something. I'm not sure, but we're kind of veering off. Are
mean-
we? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Should we look
I
it
thought
up?
we were supposed to veer off. I thought this was the veer
Right,
off episode.
we're really veering off a lot.
Okay. All right.
In Malaysia, sodomy is illegal, including like any form of oral sex.
Whoa.
Like even between like a hetero married couple. Unacceptable.
Wow.
Yes. Punishable by
Death.
no.
Castration.
Fines, caning, they still do public caning, and then up to 20 years in prison.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're actually trying to get rid of their death penalty there. So in some ways, much more advanced than the U.S.
Yeah.
There are 9 different political parties in Malaysia, and all of them have an anti-LGBTQ stance.
They've all agreed.
And then
Jesus.
also, like, depending on your religion. So 65% of the population is Islamic, and all of the government there is kind of weird. It's like a bunch of different kingdoms that like came together to form a country in like the 50s.
Oh.
That's literally the 50s, like after World War II, is when the whole world went to shit, because that's when colonialism, everybody was like, oh, we're going to start minding our own business. You guys
Right.
figure it out now that we fucked you up.
Malaysia had been through like a whole series of colonizing, like first Portugal, then the Dutch, then of course the British. During World War II, Japan came in.
Whoa.
They were there for a few years. So there's a lot of like ethnic Chinese, ethnic Indians, like it's a mixed bag. It's a big mixed bag. And you'd think that cultural diversity would lead to more acceptance of
No, because
different
you've got the
things.
ruling elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's like they have like a prime minister and a Congress, but they also have a king who's the head of state. And there's like 13 different states and they each have a governor and they each have a king. And when it's time to elect someone, the prime minister and the king are elected from this group of 13 governors and kings. Like,
Yeah.
you're not voting for like just anyone. You're voting for one of these guys. It's really, I've never heard of like an elected king though. That's really interesting. But when their term is over, they just go back to ruling their state.
Oh,
Does that
okay.
make sense? So it's complicated and fascinating.
Yeah, Game
We
of
won't
Thrones
get
over
into
there.
it any further. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so if you're Muslim and you get arrested for like a homosexual act, then you go through this whole process of like going to court and getting caned and getting a prison sentence. But then, like, if you're like Christian or whatever, then you're like, that's the end. Then you serve your prison term and you're done. But if you're Muslim, then it's like, oh wait, we also have your Sharia punishment lined up.
Oh.
And then you have to go through a whole other thing.
Oh.
It's fucking crazy, man.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women's rights over there also, you know, I would take issue with some of
Yeah.
what's going on there,
Right.
obviously.
You know.
Right? If you've got like
Sure.
a religious laws, you're going to
They-
end up with some
They're allowed to
misogyny.
say what you wear over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the law.
Also, Malaysia, where are you hiding your plane?
Oh, I did not look into that at all.
Where's it?
I don't know. I heard that they found UFOs though recently.
In Malaysia?
Possibly. Everywhere.
Oh.
In the universe.
Well, they're just unidentified objects.
Bringing it back to New York.
Yeah, that's Malaysia. So I don't know. I was just curious. Maybe you would be too. Plus, I don't have a ton to say about this company, but it's a great company. It's great. Okay.
great.
So,
I am Malaysia.
yeah.
Crazy.
Right. All right. So
We'll
history
get
of Malaysia. It's 40 years old. And they're still figuring it out.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Still working on it. Okay. So, Kaleena and some decide they're going to open this coffee company 2015. It's just a cafe. And their whole deal is like, you know, I wandered the East Village looking for these coffee beans. Like, it's not that there aren't other coffee shops there, but like specialty coffee in the East Village in 2015, like they probably were like the first ones.
Oh.
Because the East Village is still, you know.
It's got some edge.
Yes.
That's the edge.
Yes. So they really wanted like a warm, like gathering place. It's funny that they ended up in 400 square feet when what they really wanted was like a community space.
Sure.
And they have rules about when and where you can use your laptop in their coffee shops because they don't want a bunch of people not talking to each other on their laptops. They really want like a, you know, sense of community there.
They don't want it to be like a library meeting room
Right.
where people just like go and occupy a room or whatever.
She said she wanted it to be like a bar.
Yeah.
She wanted people to be like hanging out, chit-chatting, having fun.
Probably like blasting some music would help keep people like from working. If there's like loud music like a bar, you know?
Maybe. Unless
Dim
you're
the
like
lights quite a bit.
But then you can't
That'd
talk
be
to
kinda
each
nice.
other. They're not going for a nightclub.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're
like
a
a
computer
corner bar.
programmer, like you just got headphones in and you're working on your computer all day.
Make it dark in there, gloomy.
Yeah.
Like board up the windows.
I mean, you know, don't give anybody power outlets.
That's gonna get them. No Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi. Kill the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's probably what they have to do.
That would be funny.
I mean,
It's
that's
the dark hour. I'm sorry. We have no Wi-Fi.
So they opened in 2015 and it was like their own money. They like had whatever savings they had and put it all into this tiny little cafe. And it was successful, but it was successful because they were there 7 days a week, right? It was like 3 months before they could hire their first employee. And they talk about, I listened to a podcast, I'll have to find it so I can share the name. They talk about how devastated they were when their first employee quit because it was like a barista who was quitting to like go work somewhere where there was room for advancement. You know, like if all we have is a 400 square foot coffee shop, then we're never going to be able to offer anyone anything more. You know what I mean? Like, you can work here for 2 or 3 years while you're going to school and make a little money, but you can't have a career here unless we give you our job, right? So that was part of what made them want to grow and open up new locations. They wanted to create an environment where they could, you know, have like a whole list of things that people could do. They saw that like the baristas they were hiring wanted to do competitions, and they wanted to learn more, and they wanted to teach more. And so this is how they ended up, first of all, opening up like 3 or 4 more cafes over the next 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I think they had 4 by 2019.
Did they get funding? How did they do all this?
2020. This is really interesting. They because the first location was successful, they could afford to open a second location in Brooklyn. And then for their third location, which I think is also in Brooklyn, they had a lot of friends and family investing in it. And then for their fourth location, which is in Chelsea, which is 2020, so I guess 5 years to get to the fourth location, they had a customer who wanted them to open a location
Amazing.
more convenient to their house.
That's so funny.
So they had this customer who was like a huge investor, like basically a partner. So they got the lease on the Chelsea space, which that's a fancy neighborhood, and that's an expensive lease. And then that was
COVID.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They couldn't get out of the lease.
Ooh.
So they ended up like doing some kind of to-go situation and making it work. But
Look, that person who wanted them to open, that was their responsibility. That was their idea. They're the ones who got to make that place work financially.
they talk a lot about how incredibly difficult it was during COVID, because then suddenly they had all these different locations, and what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure. I think that in 2019 also they got this Long Island location, which is Queens. And this is where they have their roastery, and this is where they have their teaching facility, because Coffee Project New York is the only SCA certified training center in New York City.
Oh,
Hot
that's
damn.
cool. Good for them.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. They said that they had to go to Florida to get trained, SCA certified.
Oh, shit.
And they were like, what the fuck? How come I have to go to the West Coast or Florida when I live in New York City? Why is there not a fucking training program here?
Yeah.
They were saying that the coffee on the West Coast is so good because everyone who's roasting it and brewing it is so well trained. Whereas in New York, you just learned how to do this at whatever shop you were working in. So there was like a big discrepancy in how good or bad or what, like you just kind of didn't know what you were going to get. So they really wanted to have a space where they could train New Yorkers to do this in New York. So that's the Long Island location. So this gave them a way to provide some growth. You know what I mean? Now people could roast coffee. Now people can teach. Now people can learn how to do different things. So that was like really important and exciting to them. They said their profits are like 40% of their profits, and I could not find their profits. I really wanted to know how much money these people are, like their yearly revenue, but I couldn't find it. They said like 40% of the profit comes from cafes, 30% is roasting and wholesale, but they're in like other cafes. They're not in grocery stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty common.
20% education, 10% consulting and events. Consulting and events, you should get into that.
I'm into consulting. I'll do that. Sure.
Some really wanted to do like espresso flights. I watched this video of the two of them. Like, here's how to make every kind of espresso-based drink was the idea. Like, here's how you do it. And they're like, this kind of espresso shot you pull for 20 seconds. And this kind of espresso shot you pull for 35 seconds.
Yeah.
And they taste totally different. They're so different. Here's how they're different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just like really into this, like deeply, especially Sam is like deeply into this. And she was saying that she really wanted to have like an espresso flight where you could get like 3 different kinds of espresso to sample. And she was like, you know, you try to do that in New York, and everybody's just like annoyed. Like, give me my fucking caffeine and get me
Right.
out the door.
It's not just New York. It's everywhere. No.
So they're trying to like bring some of that also. They're trying to like have events and educational opportunities where, you know, they can really get people interested in like a long pull espresso or whatever the fuck it's called.
You know, I love that they're, you know, that they're trying to do that, and they're, you know,
I'm sure
you can't do it unless you're educating, unless you're out there actively pushing it. So, you know,
I feel like there's got to be some neighborhoods, though, in New York that are into that. I feel like if you go into Chicago, there's plenty of people who are super into coffee, I think.
Yeah.
and I think it's part of being SCA certified, right? Like, you've got to, you know, if you love your craft and want to put it out there, I mean, I think it makes sense to have like the educational. That's probably what builds the scene somewhere, right? You've got all this talent, and everybody's out there making cafes and baristas, and, you know, then that whole group is competing with Starbucks, you know, and that's how probably the West Coast is. Maybe not competing, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's how the coffee scene gets better. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, my perception of New Yorkers is like go, go, go. Mm-hmm. Just got to go, go, go. Got to keep going.
Yeah.
Got to get here. Got to get there. So it sounds like they're more into the barista side of things. Yes? More into like because it seems like coffee people are either into roasting or they're into brewing. There's not a ton of crossover. Some people might be like, oh, I care some about the beans, but my passion is drinks. And then some people are like, my passion is roasting, and obviously a drink is important too.
Right.
But
I think their passion certainly began with the drinks. Yes.
Yeah.
And at some point, everything else had to kind of be added in. I meant to right at the beginning read their mission statement because it's extremely short. And of course, you know, just like any other specialty coffee company, they say all the right things about the farms and the fair trade and all that kind of stuff. Their very short mission, 1 sentence. Our mission as a coffee business is to improve the quality of life for every person in the coffee supply chain, from producers to consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, just make coffee better for everyone.
yeah.
They pay well. I couldn't quite get a handle on like how many employees and their exact salaries, but it seems like their average salary is pretty high for a barista compared to, you know, around here. But I don't know how that factors into just like salaries in New York generally.
Yeah,
What are they
here?
Do
Yeah.
you have do you remember what it
Something like they're a big range, like 35 to 80 grand a year. So, and that was not just baristas, but also like training and, you know,
Yeah.
so, hard
Yeah,
to
I mean,
say.
like somebody who's maybe running a barista training program is probably getting paid like the 80K, whereas somebody who's like brand new starting out, maybe that lower end
But
number.
that's a great, you know, that's a great salary, and you have to be a good sized company in order to even be able to afford to offer that as a job,
Right.
right?
Well, and I
Right.
think the minimum wage in New York is like what, $17.50 or something
Oh,
like
I
I'm
that.
talking
Oh.
if you probably saw it on like line, right? Of some Glassdoor or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
it's like they have somebody on staff that they're able to pay $80,000 a year,
Right.
Who's not like running the fucking thing,
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like,
yeah.
your job is just to go train other people,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna pay you $80,000 a year. So that's So they're probably doing okay.
Oh yeah, New York City, it's $15 an hour.
And if you think about it too, like as roaster, like we're just a wholesale operation, right? And I was just thinking about this, like one cafe can do like, and maybe this doesn't make it in, but can like 1 or 2 cafes can do what we do in an entire year. And 1 or 2 cafes and employ 4 times as many people.
There's a way huger
You know?
markup on coffee drinks
Right.
too. You figure
The retail margins
figure-
are so much higher.
let's say like 1 cup of drip coffee is going to use about 1 ounce of coffee to brew that. So you can charge what, like maybe $4, let's say in New York for a cup of coffee. That's going to cost you $2. No. Like say the cost of your bean just this $3. So 3 divided by 12, whatever that comes out to, it costs you like 20 cents just in coffee alone. Huge markup.
Yeah. And if our wholesale was 30% of our overall business, we would probably have a couple hundred employees too. So
If we had a 75% markup on our wholesale, man, right now we would be Scrooge McFucking Duck, swimming in it.
We should significantly raise our prices.
Oh, we need to quadruple.
But that's also cafe. That's the difference between retail and wholesale.
Yeah.
Right. So what we should really do is get some of that retail.
Start pulling some espresso shots, man.
Yeah, baby.
No thanks.
Let's go take a class on how to
In Brooklyn,
Too much work.
in Queens.
in Queens.
So here are some of the classes offered. It's a wide range. Like some of them are like SCA certification classes.
Sure.
And they're longer, like 36-hour classes, and they're expensive.
What are you getting certified in by the SCA, though?
So, and some of them are just like for people who are interested in coffee, like short hour-and-a-half classes. So you can get certified in a lot of things. They have an SCA barista skills class. Mm-hmm. That's a 3-day class. It's $1,800. Mm-hmm. And it's 3 different levels of it, too. Mm-hmm. Foundation, intermediate, and pro. So I don't know if that means you have to take it 3 times.
All for this coffee
Oh,
project.
I'm sure you got to take it 3 times.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
3 days.
1,800
each
times
one?
3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have a barista intensive. That's 3 hours. It's $150. That's not an SCA class.
Ton of options.
They have latte art workshops. Those are their most popular classes. They have a couple different levels of that, and those prices range from like $350 to $650. SCA brewing skills, 8 hours, $550. SCA roasting skills. That's another 3 days, 8 hours a day, $1,600.
I wonder what they're teaching at a roasting skills.
I mean, I learned how to roast in like 7 minutes, so
Yeah.
I don't know what they're spending 3 days on.
You know what they're...
Marcus, you're such a good teacher.
But they're probably talking
going
about
to-
like conceptually, like what does what, when, where, how, and what, like
It's
how
more
to
than a
profile,
Yeah.
right? Like how to
button.
create,
Right.
how to create a profile.
Right.
Yeah,
know.
there's a lot of variables and factors and density and
what levers to pull,
and that's probably fine for somebody who like is not an intuitive roaster, which is what I would consider you to be, a little bit more like intuitive.
But see, that's now, right? Like I used to hand chart every single like profile by hand back before I had Artisan, which is now, that's what I use to chart it all. So I do both, but kind of knowing when and where to stop, that's very much intuitive. But the science of roasting, that I don't heat in, heat out. I don't manipulate that.
I mean, I think that
There's rules. There's rules, goddammit.
I mean, there's some rules, but I mean intuitive in the sense that like, a chef has an intuition when he's cooking, or when they are cooking a meal. They're like, they taste it and they're like, this needs a little more saffron. That's where I mean like intuition. Like you can roast, taste it, and you're like, it needs a little more acidity. You know what I mean?
Doesn't everybody do that?
But that's where
how you roast.
That's where like some of that intuition comes from. Like you got to be able to kind of go in and be like, all right, if I tweak these little levers, it's going to produce this end flavor result. Like I would never drink a coffee and be like, it needs more chocolate.
I'd be the worst teacher. I'd be like, yeah, just go in and fucking roast the coffee.
Yeah.
Roast.
Well, that's how you taught me. But I will say you've got me following a recipe. You're not saying here's some beans and here's a roaster, figure it out. You're saying here's the recipe, and at 2 minutes, turn this to 4, Like that's different than presumably what they're learning in this class.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be learning like the science behind it, the
Right.
things that you've learned on your own.
But I can't tell you what tastes good to you, right? So it's like that's the intuition part of it. It's like you have to roast to your own style.
Right.
Your palate's the ultimate judge. That's my roasting teaching for all you listeners out there.
I'm sure they're teaching about the flavor wheel too.
Oh, there's a flavor wheel?
There's
I
a
didn't
flavor.
even
That's
know
more
That's a
there.
flavor
tasting.
wheel.
So that's tasting,
But that's
not
like,
necessarily
how do
roasting.
you want? But it's like, okay, I want coffees with these like characteristics. You can like,
Look on the list. I'm sure there's a sensory development
Yes,
course.
sensory skills.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
SCA sensory
Yeah.
skills,
There you go.
$600, 7-hour class,
Yeah.
taste, smell, cupping,
Yeah.
grading.
So that's a different skill entirely that you can develop.
yeah. But if you want a coffee, you've been like, oh, I want this coffee
It's
more
all related.
chocolatey.
It's
That's
all
what I'm saying.
related.
It is all related.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You gotta
lovely.
take all the classes.
Love coffee. This is like, but this is what's so great about coffee, right? Is that it's like there is a ton of just stuff you can dive into and personal sort of touches that everybody likes to make it special for them, and they share, and that's what's great about the community in general.
Do you think the SCA style is like the Scott Rao style?
I don't know. I have no clue.
What is that, Scott Rao?
He's got a book called what is it, like the Coffee Roasters?
Every
Guide to
single
Roasting Coffee.
Coffee Roasters Bible.
It's like the
98
only book on roasting coffee.
95% of coffee roasters have read Scott Rao's book and follow his methods of how to roast
Interesting.
and his principles.
It's very popular.
Like, you almost cannot find a coffee roaster who's like, I didn't read Scott Rao's book.
Well, like
except for this
newer
guy.
one, right? Like, yeah.
Except for this guy, is that what you just said? Marcus is like, I don't
He's
need
never
to
read
it.
the book. He's never read it. He doesn't want to taint his intuition with that guy's style.
It's true.
Award-winning coffee roaster.
Self-taught.
100%.
Yeah. Well, the other place I have to give credit where credit's due is Sweet Maria's. They had a forum that I was somewhat active in really early, 13 years ago, and people were talking about this kind of stuff back then online, home roasters. Mm-hmm. So the home roasting community is pretty open. And
Can we talk about how awesome Marcus is for a moment? We don't talk enough about how awesome he is.
Pretty awesome.
I know.
thanks, guys.
He's self-taught. He's like a self-taught phenom.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're obviously like, you have an innate skill here.
It's also a really passion too. I really love, like, I don't know, coffee. And I love the variety and everything about it, It's like roasting and figuring it out and, tweaking it and tasting experience. My goal all the time is to give people something that's like new, right? That they've never had before. Yeah, I just try and make it as good as I can.
Marcus is a really good cook too, and his dad is a professional chef. And I think there's like some of this, right? Like those kind of go together a little bit. It's a similar, it's a very different thing that you're doing, but it's a similar, like, how do I get this taste just right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And cooking for me too is like, it's all intuition. It's all just like, you're trying it, you're tasting it, and it's like, what does it need? A little salt, a little vinegar, a little this, whatever to get it perfect. And I love cooking, especially cooking for people in my, immediate circle and family and stuff like that. It's like, it's an expression of love, really, for me. I just, I tap into that. And so I do the same thing with coffee. It's a creative expression of trying to delight people.
Mm-hmm.
Also a tinkerer who likes to like fix things. And I think coffee brings together
It's kind of like it's the intersection.
Yeah, of flavor and fixing.
Yeah. Flavor and tinkering. That is Marcus. Right here. Became coffee.
Right.
It's funny.
Aw. Look at Marcus.
Yeah.
Aw,
So
he's being so
cute.
cute. Anyways, this is not an ad for Marcus. We should get back to these women. They sound awesome.
They're really cool.
They do. They remind me of people, all the great, the good in the coffee community.
They're serious about their coffee, and they're serious about the community, and they're also like funny. I listened to a podcast and watched a video, and they're like incredibly pleasant to listen to. Like they're just like fun and interesting and joking around a little bit, and they're really great. They do a tasting intensive and a pour over intensive that are both meant for just like average folks.
That's
They're
awesome.
not SCA classes, but don't those sound fun? I want to do a tasting intensive.
I know. I love it. I love the idea of having like a really solid coffee like centric community. I love it.
Yeah.
I love everything about this.
We need to go. I was so close. I can't believe I didn't even try to go take a class. I didn't know about the classes until I came home. Their coffees on their website, in addition to coffees, they sell a lot of very fancy things, both for at home and for if you're opening a coffee shop.
Oh, no doubt.
Those espresso machines were like $6,000 or $7,000. Is that a normal price? Mm-hmm. Whew.
That's
For the home
No. Well, I mean, I assume not for the home. Is that a normal price for a
the home.
New Yorker's espresso machine in their apartment? Is $7,000?
Maybe
Can
not
be.
7,000.
If you want a
I would
high-end
say.
one, yeah, like a rocket.
You could probably get like a high-end home, but
the
probably,
Linea home
I
is
thought
like
that was
$6,000 or $7,000.
I thought that was 4,000.
cost.
Oh. What? Are you kidding me?
Go look online, and they've raised the price since then too.
What?
Dang.
I wanted one of those.
No,
Maybe not
like
anymore.
$7,000 now. Holy shit!
They've got your T-shirts and your mugs and your tote bags, and then they've got their coffees. They have. We didn't talk about this. It says right on the bag, enthusiast series. Oh,
5,900 for
There
a
you go.
Linea.
$6,000 with shipping,
Linnea?
tax, $7,000, $8,000.
Oof. I'm gonna have to get myself
Wow.
this. Cheap
So yeah, you tell me about the name of this coffee because I saw.
Oh, wait, wait.
You texted that.
Yeah. Okay. You said they have an enthusiast
This
level.
is part of their enthusiast line. They have 4 different coffees currently in their enthusiast. It says enthusiast series micro lot. It's basically the same way that you use the term enthusiast.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like small batch, small lot coffees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should we sue them because they definitely started after we did.
Yeah, we
Oh.
for sure. We've got that
We
shit
invented
on
that.
lock
Well,
down.
they can afford to settle a
They
lawsuit.
could fucking kick my ass in court, I'm sure. I mean, we would win, but they would. They'd tie up all the money.
You know that I am willing to dig myself so deeply in debt on fucking principle in court fees. I will do it.
It's funny. We never trademarked it though, so
No, I'm just saying if anybody ever tried to get me,
try to trademark that and then fucking sue us. I'd be like, fuck you. Yeah.
yeah,
If
I
they
mean,
tried, that
we're
would-
calling
Don't even
Billy.
think about it,
Yeah.
you guys.
No, we got it.
We're calling Billy Mills.
So they have these 4 enthusiast
Wait, is that his
series.
name? Just cut that out. I don't know what his name.
Sorry, Steph.
They have 4 enthusiast series. One of them is a geisha
Ooh.
that I didn't buy because it was $50, and I was afraid that
Hot damn.
Modest Coffee would yell at me for spending all that money.
No, Papa Modest would have supported that for sure.
This one was $30.
Oh.
I already felt like I was spending plenty.
$30? I still haven't reimbursed you.
For 10 ounces, by the
Nice.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could be charging way more.
They have several other single origin coffees, 3 to 4 different blends. I bought a blend for us to drink there. I mean, I was having it ground at the coffee shop. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on something fancy.
Yeah.
It was very good. It was
Nice.
like Woke Up in New York or something was the name of it. I was like, that sounds right.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And then they have a decaf also, which would be, I feel like, have we tried any other high-end decafs? Maybe that would be a fun thing to do.
There's not a ton of them out there.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
kind of surprised they had one on it because this is it. You know, they've got 10 different coffees and that's it. And they're all special.
Yeah.
And they're all pricey.
Yeah.
I think I paid $20 for like the blend that I bought, you
Yeah.
know, the like medium roast blend.
Some of that's probably just
So,
being in New York.
I
too.
know. Those are
that's
New
true.
York prices.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I'm for sure that they're not putting in
Yeah.
a $20.
Wait till my
coffee.
Illinois prices hit those store shelves, man. They're gonna love it.
Oh, shit.
Fuck
You're
yeah.
right.
In.
Yeah.
All right.
We're
Yeah.
coming for you, New York City.
Yeah.
Midwest prices, baby.
Yeah, yeah, baby. Well, I'm excited. Shall we brew some coffee?
Yeah, I can't wait
Modest
to try
Coffee
it.
roasts
right.
the highest quality single origin coffees without the snobbery. They take the guesswork out of buying specialty coffee by carefully curating green coffees and sorting them to one of their tiers based on cupping score, price, flavor notes, and roast level. Go to www.modest.coffee/no bad reviews to see what they're roasting today. Pip pip cheerio!
And we're back.
Hey.
How was the O factory reveal when it was grinding?
Well, we have the bag right here. We should
Ooh.
sniff it.
I want to.
Sorry, I stole that right out from under you.
They smelled really good when I was grinding it.
Yeah. Nice.
Aw.
I'm gonna go ahead and call it. It's probably not gonna be bad black.
Oh my god, I'm so excited
That's
to
so
have
funny.
a good coffee.
It
So
smells like
excited.
cherry without tasting like cherry.
Well, I can smell from here.
I do get a fruity scent.
I
I,
got a
just
whiff
felt
of
like
it.
I had to say
Yeah.
something about cherry.
Cherry almond, just like every week.
This does. It's funny. This is like the natural version of
Right.
like
Yeah, it smells really good.
a little raisiny too.
We can use the big cups for this one.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking that to myself.
This
Although
really smells
one of
so
the big
good.
cups seems to have
Holy
disappeared.
shit.
Are there 3 on the table? I'll drink one little one, but I'll refill it.
I have a clarification that I want to talk about because I'm super embarrassed from our Snoop Dogg episode.
Uh-oh.
Because I re-listened to the episode and I confused MK Ultra with COINTELPRO. And I'm really embarrassed about it.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what, Steph? You should be. I would consider you to be an expert on anything CIA related.
I confuse all of those with Operation Paperclip. So
Ooh, which one is that? I don't know about that one.
I don't actually know.
You know what? I like to just mind my own business. I'm here for like the space of time that I inhabit this world is a blink. Not even. It is like infinitesimally small on the spectrum of the universe. So what am I going to worry about shit for?
But to you conspiracy
Whatever.
theory buffs out there, though, sorry for the gaffe.
I feel like there are 2. I know for sure that 2 listeners caught that. They haven't said anything to me because they're polite about it. I'm sorry I let you guys down.
I can think. I think I'm guessing one of them.
I'm sure you could guess them. I was talking about all the crazy fucking shit going on. This ties to this episode too. All the crazy fucking shit going on in New York in the 70s. And one of them was the congressional hearings for MK Ultra. And I said that had to do with the Black Panther Party.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
But no.
Oh,
MK Ultra was actually
it's not a beer.
no, but we should make a beer and call it MK Ultra. That would be hilarious.
Was it a Marvel movie?
It was actually CIA, and it was they were like giving LSD to people without telling them to see what would happen, to like experiment with torture and LSD. So they'd give different doses of LSD and then like fuck with them, either like psychological torture or like actual torture.
Oh.
And they were doing this to like soldiers. This was during Vietnam, so these were not people who like chose to serve. These were people who were drafted, and then they were like, "Hey, are you tired of fighting in Vietnam? Why don't you come hang out here in this CIA building where it's nice and safe? Drink this."
Air conditioned.
Oh my God. And then they were also experimenting on prisoners in the U.S. And also prisoners of war overseas.
At
Wow.
the beginning of this story, I was going to ask how I signed up. But by the end, I don't think I want to.
No.
Yeah, you had us there in the first half, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, like, for sure, you had a great opening.
LSD free.
LSD for everyone
Free
from the
LSD.
CIA.
Yeah.
They just want to see what happens
So
to
was
you.
there a different, what was the name that you were trying to reference?
COINTELPRO
COINTELPRO.
is the FBI on that one, and that's where they were trying to bring down the Black Panthers by
Got
any
it.
means necessary, basically. And that's how they ended up with like a bunch of like FBI agents pretending to be Black Panthers, and that's how that Fred Hampton guy got killed.
Oh.
Don't you think the FBI could maybe apply some of those tactics to whatever the fuck is happening in the country right now? Or do you think they are?
No, when it's armed white people, they're like totally cool with it. It's really, yeah. We don't need to go into this.
Yeah.
But,
But,
I mean, we can if you want to spend the rest of the episode talking
Yeah.
about MK Ultra
I'd
and
love to.
or COINTELPRO. I'm
Yeah.
down.
And then, because MK Ultra sounds like that other one where they gave the soldiers LSD like in pre-World War II or some sort of hallucinogen and made them like look at goats and shit. And then there's a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh, yeah.
It was like trying to like psyops some shit too.
Interesting.
Oh,
It's a
see, I
different
could do
one.
that one.
Yeah, that one would be way
That
more fun.
one. I
Right.
I'll
goats?
take
Come
LSD and hang out
on.
with goats. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's try this coffee because it smells so good.
I'm really excited.
I am really excited about it too. I want to dive in. Perfect time too.
Yeah, I'm ready to pass out too. It is a little warm in here. You guys, we have to turn off the air conditioning so you don't hear it while we're recording. And
buzzes.
so we suffer so much for our art.
I just started wearing like less and less. This is why.
These mermaid pants don't breathe, you guys.
This is comfortable. I have a tech shirt on.
Take them off. Get naked like Marcus.
I know. I'm so comfortable.
He's
right
talking about how naked he is. I just really find this Melita mug, this vintage one that I'm drinking out of, I just find it so delightful.
Love it.
This like cross stitch pattern on it.
Yeah, that one's the cutest one of
mama.
all of them.
I gotta wait for this to cool a bit, tad.
Is it terrible?
That's the worst coffee we've had yet.
Tastes like bananas and peanut butter.
No, honestly, like this one really does it for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is delightful.
I chose it for you.
Holy
I'm
shit.
super happy that you like it. That's great. For myself, I would not have chosen one of those anaerobic ones because they can be a little funky. This one didn't smell funky at all, though.
Yeah, it's like juicy, but it's clean. It's got a ton of fruitiness to it, but like tart, peach, mango,
I wonder if
ton of stuff going on.
they have won any awards.
What are the tasting notes on that? Because they were interesting. It was like kiwi or something?
Kiwi, mango, blood orange, spiced cocoa, spiced cacao. I definitely tasted the chocolatey ness, and then medium acidity, juicy body. And it's so juicy. It's like, it's like you take a sip and it just like coats everywhere. It's great. Great body.
Yeah, do you know if they've won any
Goddamn.
awards?
I don't know if they've won any awards. It certainly wasn't something predominant on their website. So
Yeah, they probably would have had it up if they did.
they do talk about how they have a lot of baristas who like to enter competitions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You would think, yeah, maybe there's a page for that, or maybe I didn't go far back enough on the press page. Or
It could also be to like New York is so competitive. Remember, it's like 5 from every region, so it's like the top. No, not the top 5. It's top 3 from every region. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot. It's hard to get in there.
wow.
Well, that's just the Good Food Awards. There's also SCA awards.
Oh yeah, there's like Brewers Cup and that kind of stuff, and but that's the same thing. Like those are regional competitions. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying. It's really hard in that region. It's hard in all the regions.
This is a very,
But I
very
especially,
tasty coffee.
I think it especially would be more over there. Just sheer volume, right?
Well, surprise, surprise. This coffee's great.
You love it too?
God damn, it's good.
It's hard to get the full flavor because it's so hot, though.
I am not burning my tongue and then going to be unable to taste this coffee. So everyone will have to be patient while I wait for mine to cool.
Remember when Jenny used to offer us ice?
I thought about. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I have one right here in my water. Oh, sweet. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, I could totally go for an ice cube, but I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
But now I forgot. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks.
Hey,
yeah, really
just looking
saved
up.
the day for me.
Just looking out.
Oh, that is so funny because my thought was, I'm going to yell at Jenny if she offers ice for this excellent coffee.
It's just to cool it
funny.
down. One ice cube's not going to water it down that much.
See, this is why Jenny's not going and winning barista competitions.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Look, I brewed it at a 16-to-1 ratio, and the SCA recommends an 18-to-1 ratio, so there's some, wiggle room there for ice
good.
cubes.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
That counts.
Booyah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a wide path of acceptable coffees
And I
as
would
we've
like to
determined
say-
on this podcast.
SCA, I believe their recommendation is anywhere from 15 to 18-to-1. Their main is 18-to-1, or
Yeah.
maybe 15-to-1 is somebody else. But anyways, all I'm saying is that ours is slightly more concentrated to begin with.
Yeah. But it's fine. That's how we drink our coffee. It's so good.
It's so fruity.
Yeah.
There's some sort of bitterness that I don't care for.
It might be
What
that
is that?
cocoa that you're tasting. I'm tasting a little bit of like chocolatiness in it.
Yeah, there's some.
It might
maybe
also be the minerals in the ice that you just put into it.
No, it was there before. I was
Just like
hoping
right
that, I'm cooling it down. I would also like to say, to make sure that we had the ultimate flavor of this, I used filtered water.
Oh.
Going back to our third wave water test.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, if you smell it in the bag, you can smell that little bit of chocolatiness in it. That's the only thing I can think of. There's a little bit of, maybe as it's cooling off, I'm detecting a little bit of astringency on the finish.
Maybe that's You like literally just threw that bag directly for my coffee cup. That would have been a huge mess.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you stopped it. That's definitely staying in this episode.
That was awesome. That was some good defense.
Yeah. Did you play volleyball? Holy shit. That was impressive.
Oh, that's really funny.
Very funny.
Did they also have a modest and collector series?
I would really start questioning it then.
What are their other series?
I think that's their only. I think they only have one series.
Oh,
Oh.
so they have like their normal coffees and then their high end is their enthusiast
Yeah,
series? Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
I always
That's
do
cute.
wonder if like our names are stupid. The tiers.
Evidently
you know?
not.
Evidently
Then
not.
just the specific names. So the fact that they're calling it an enthusiast. Yeah.
Right.
Are the tiers stupid? I don't know. What else do you
Look,
call them?
what do you
though?
call it, right? It's like essentially it's
better,
market-driven
best?
pricing, right? Good, better, best. Sure. Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't know.
I mean, like, I feel like we get really creative in the first 3 products that we created, which is like the modest, the enthusiast, the collector, and then we just phoned it in for the second 2. We go with the dark and the decaf.
Well, they're pretty straightforward. It's like people are like, "Do you have a dark roast?" And we're like, "Yeah,
It's like,
sure."
yeah. Should I call that like the rugged?
You know, you called it the espresso at the beginning,
And that
right?
was
And that makes sense. It makes
Right.
sense that your darker roast was like almost intended specifically for,
But that's
Yeah.
actually, but that's the thing. Espresso is not based on the roast level. It's based on
Right.
the flavor characteristics that taste best concentrated.
But the reason why we named it the espresso is our first wholesale partner was like, oh, just put the name espresso on there because people will buy anything with the name espresso roast on it.
And he wanted a dark roast.
Yeah.
that's funny.
So we were like, okay, so call it the espresso dark, and then we just shortened it to the dark.
Oh, you know, we were talking about espresso machines, and I wanted to mention that in this video of these 2 women, will I remember their names without my notes in front of me? Some and
Something that began with like a C sound.
I want to say Kaleena, but it's not. That's not it.
Kaleena? No, Kalena's the coffee brewer.
Celine?
Damn it, Kaleena.
Kaleena.
That video, which I will share on our social media. They're so cute. I love them.
Aw.
But they started with like a hand espresso
Oh,
maker.
cool.
Like it's just like a handle, and you
Yeah.
push it down, and she said she was putting her entire body weight into
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and it looked like she was.
Wow.
Trying to press water through the. Like that's fun. We could get one of those.
We have one in the basement.
We do?
Well, our first cafe, we had one of those, and then we had pour over. All we did was manual everything,
Holy shit, Jenny.
and people fucking hated it in Sugar Grove.
It wasn't
Sugar
like
Grove.
it wasn't like I don't think it was like a true espresso pressure. It was probably more similar to like a higher powered AeroPress.
It claimed it could get to 9 bars, but I do feel like it was kind of difficult
Yeah.
to do that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel like it had enough pressure. Anyways, whatever.
Maybe you just need to like buff up a little more.
Right?
Maybe you just need to gain a couple hundred more pounds and put all that into it.
All right,
Yeah.
200 pounds right in my arms.
So, you know,
I'll
this
be
was-
like
Bluto?
murder coffee guy.
Oh,
Hi, Fred.
out.
I'm coming for you in that arm competition, arm wrestling.
So one of the things I think about like good coffee, right, is that you just want to settle in and enjoy it and hang out, right? And so like normally at this part in the episode we'd be like, well, who's this coffee for? And then we'd like make jokes about it. But honestly, I think this is a coffee for friends.
Aw.
Oh, I think this is a coffee for gathering without your computers.
Would you say community?
Yeah.
Aw. Mission accomplished. Coffee
Yeah.
project.
Good job. Good job, Coffee Project. I'm finally able to drink this. It is
Very juicy.
very juicy.
Much better
Yeah.
cooled, by the way.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some sort of bitterness that I did not enjoy when it was hot.
That's good. And now that it's cooling even more that citrus is coming through. It's really but it's a deep, kind of sweet, molassesy citrus. It's so good.
There's a nice sweetness there. Yes. This is, the super juicy coffees are not generally the ones I go for. I can recognize this as an extremely delicious coffee. It's very good.
Cool. Well,
You know what I just
is that our
realized?
episode? No.
This podcast is the only time I ever get to try somebody else's coffee.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so glad that we're doing this so that we can like explore other coffees and hang out and try coffee.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be doing this otherwise.
No.
I would just
Yeah.
be drinking my coffee. This is
Stupid
great.
modest again.
Yeah. I hope
Always.
that you, dear listener, are drinking some coffee and enjoying it too. Yeah.
And yeah, definitely check out this coffee project.
You know, definitely do. Check out, even if you're from the Midwest and the prices seem high, treat yourself to a bag because this is really good. And the like basic blend that I drank every morning in New York was really good too. It was tasty. It was just like a medium roast blend and it was delicious.
It's crazy to me the living cost differences.
Yeah.
Right? $30 for 10 ounces?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
Well, this is a Panama coffee. It's probably an expensive one to begin with too. So
The cheap blend that I bought was $20 for
Yeah.
10 ounces.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
is
Oh, you're
pretty
talking about
pricey
yeah.
compared
That's
to
also
what
expensive.
we charge. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
that's not.
So we could afford to raise our prices probably.
Look, we had a mission to like make coffee accessible. I don't want to like price ourselves out of accessibility. It's more about sharing good coffee with people than
Yeah.
it is about
You know,
like charging gobs of
Right.
money.
We don't have a
especially when
cafe.
we
We
don't
don't
need to.
have overhead. You know, we just share our savings right with the customer.
Aw.
That's
That's
true.
That's it.
We do.
Yeah.
It's about getting good coffee to people and supporting the farmers and
Yeah.
along the way and ourselves.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, you're never going to be able to afford an apartment in Chelsea with that attitude.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Steph, for
Yeah,
bringing this
thanks.
back with you. This is
Aw.
such a delight.
I keep
and
forgetting to
a
put
treat.
this reimbursement on your paycheck. I'm
Yeah, put this
sorry.
reimbursement on my paycheck.
I know.
man.
This is a
Maybe
big
consider
boy
including all that
reimbursement.
Patreon too.
Oh, I do need to cash that out.
I know. Yeah.
Marcus cannot wait to get his hands on this
Oh,
money.
I'm gonna spend it right on art. I'm gonna put it right towards my art fund.
The whole like couple $100 you're
All
gonna
of it.
get.
100%
All
of it.
$200.
Yeah, I've already claimed it.
Well, I'm really happy that I got to share a tiny cup of New York with you guys. 'cause
Yeah, thanks, Steph.
I really missed you.
So glad you
Gone
did.
for 3 weeks.
Man, we missed you so much too. Not just your work, but just you.
Yeah.
We missed you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah.
That's
The
sweet.
whole pendulum of the universe was off.
That's true.
I don't know. It felt pretty good to me.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, generously sponsored by Modest Coffee, purveyors of single origin coffee without the snobbery. Visit www.modest.coffee/no bad reviews to see what they're roasting today. Enjoy.